Hello everybody, I am Bryan Mullins the Fox, your delightful host, and welcome to the 6th anniversary of the roast game as the topic of conversation, and the 6th anniversary of the first roast game debate, which was originally titled Bryan Mullins the Roast Game. Families were eating their own children for 19 years. I was the pro, under the pseudonym Bryan Mullins No Christmas 2, winning by 7 points, and my opponent was YanaGirl136, who lost the debate by having 0 points in this debate. And again, like that video discussing my side of the roast game debate.org shitstorm saga, I explained the lead up to this one debate. But now, let's just get to the debate. The roast game is pretty simple. First, ask any family member what is special about a holiday roast. The family member would have the tendency to guess assumptively, ham, turkey, beef. You say no to the family member. Then you ask them, who or what do you think is special? The family member says, I believe that children are special. You respond, so you eat children for a Christmas roast. The family member would freak out at you because he knew or she knew that the family ate children, specifically their butt meat, and he or she is surprised that you knew it too. The whole point of the game is to get your point across, which is the idea that the family eats children, more specifically their butt meat, as their Christmas roast alternative, and you interview and prove your common knowing and realizing of the idea or tradition that families have or had. If they freak out, they already admitted it by proxy. I unironically linked one of the oldest music-related videos surrounding the topic of the roast game, which the original title is Winter Olympics by Alan Braden from 1960. The opponent responds with, I literally have no clue what this is supposed to be about. Nothing that the person who is pro/for this posted makes any sense to me, nor the person who attempted to explain it to me. That's that. Whoops. Here's my final round. It does make sense, but you don't understand it. It's a psychological will tester, testing their will to tell the truth, like asking them, what is special about a holiday roast? And them guessing as a response, ham, chicken, turkey, or beef. You tell them no, because they don't realize the point you're trying to get across their heads. Because they think they can get away with eating children, more specifically their butt meat. But suddenly, you ask them another question like, who or what do you think is special, other than a holiday roast? Then they answer with this response, children, and believing that children are special, which you respond to that with, so you guys eat children as your Christmas roast, which gets them to freak out. The whole topic is about getting your whole point across, and at the same time proving the truth that they omit by proxy. The truth in which I did with that long comment I made in the comment section below. I made my point clear, so vote for pro. And she rage quits with her last round. You know what? This was a pointless, confusing, stupid debate, and I don't honestly care if I lose. There, I said it. I won by 7 points because the first would-be opponent that I challenged this debate to voted for me, and the reason for voting decision was basically a forfeit. I mean, she said she doesn't care if she loses, and she lost. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in for tomorrow's edition where I fully cover the second and the last major roast game debate. Hi everybody, I am Bryan Mullins the Fox, your delightful host, ready to cover the second and last official roast game debate that took place from November 29th, 2017 and around December 7th or 8th, 2017, between me, who's the pro, Bryan Mullins No Christmas 2 at the time, and the con, Wilson704, who initially started this debate to begin with, while I accepted the challenge. Without further ado, let's begin. Wilson704 starts it up with, I would like to hear your point of view first, please. Then I obliged him with this round, which is round 1. First example, the roast game. The roast game is pretty simple. First, ask any family member what is special about a holiday roast. The family member would have the tendency to guess assumptively, ham, turkey, beef. You say no to the family member. Then you ask them, who or what do you think is special? The family member says, I believe that children are special. You respond, so you eat children for a Christmas roast, more specifically their butt meat. The family member would freak out at you because he knew, or she knew if it's a female, that the family ate children and he or she is surprised that you knew it too. The whole point of the game is to get your point across, which is the idea that the family eats children, more specifically their butt meat, as their Christmas roast during this era, which is the roast game era 1998 to 2016, and you interview and prove your common knowing and realizing of the idea or tradition that families have. If they freak out, they already admitted it by proxy. It makes logical sense because when you ask a family member these questions, you get the sense that the family member is assuming that I don't know what they were eating, making excuses like guessing average roast meats like ham, turkey, or chicken, or specifically them lying about what they ate as the centerpiece of Christmas dinner during that era. Then he or she faces your sudden answer, no, which gives them a sign that he or she is just making excuses to escape the question and to carry on with life. The roast game is just a psychological mind tester. It tests the human will to tell the truth, making it, as a result, a psychological will tester. Besides, it is easily provable by the fact that the roast game itself is easy proof that families were eating their own children, more specifically for their butt meat, after slaughtering them. After slaughtering them, they did this process where they skinned the children, take out any fecal matter or anything inedible to humans like the brain, the liver, or any irrelevant body part, slice the right meat parts off like the roast meat, debacterialize the meat, season it, then cook it. After cooking it, they eat the children. That's my proof, which is the logical explanation of the truth that is found out in the roast game, which to be honest is absolutely mind-blowing. I just gave my now to be non-existent Wikia as a source, and it was also the same website that I introduced the original concept that came before the debate, and then I've linked the first debate right below that. Wilson704 follows that up with round 2. I don't really understand by what you're stating, but I'll try to and respect it. Yes, I am new to this system and I am just trying to get my name out there. Here are my reasons why I think Christmas is a good thing. Number 1, Christmas is a time where you can relax with your family. Number 2, you get time off from school and work. Number 3, you have a chance to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. And number 4, presents. Christmas is a good time where you can be with family or close friends. Christmas is a time of peace, happiness, and joy. And this time when I'm reading these debate rounds, I'm not mocking the opponent like I used to. I follow up with my second round entry with Christmas should end because 18,568,322 children were slaughtered for their butt meat for not believing in Christmas. It's not about presents, family, and anything else you suggested. Second, giving is a bad thing because what if the boy or girl doesn't want it, need it, earn it, or deserve it? If they just want something without making a compromise that kids don't want to work hard for their quote-unquote presents, then they don't deserve any presents. All that they ever deserve is honesty. Also, Christmas is a lie because it's not about presents or anything you suggested. It's about lying. It is the holiday of lies. The second video are examples of photos of children that were slaughtered for not believing in Christmas, or what it would look like hypothetically using generic stock gory images. That was later removed years later by YouTube without giving my pre-furry channel a strike at all. Here are the sources, as noted here. Also, why would you believe all these lies your parents told you, like about Santa and about other things people lie about? Also, like Jesus and all that shit about the birth. Wilson704 starts off round 3 with, just because someone is slaughtered because someone with other beliefs killed them doesn't mean that the holiday should end. Many people died for America's freedom, so Independence Day came into play. Number 1, that's not what Independence Day was for. It was about independence from the British, which at the time, the founding fathers were still slave owners. Kind of ironic to put the deaths of others and use them as an argument to justify death. Look at ISIS, for example. They kill tens of thousands of people just because they don't agree with their beliefs. With all other things aside, Christmas is not about money, family, presents, or time off. Although all of those things are good, they're not the reason for Christmas. Christmas is about the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Why do you think there's Christ in Christmas? It wasn't Christmas before. It was Saturnalia. But then the Romans forced Christian beliefs on other people at around 336 AD, and then it became Christmas. I ended the third round with my entry. Jesus Christ is fake. He never existed. Though you believe in him, nothing is good about it. Not the giving, not the lies, not anything. Why have faith in someone who doesn't exist? You have to face the reality that Jesus Christ doesn't exist. More importantly, to go off script, why have faith in someone who doesn't exist and not have faith in those who did exist but died for not believing in things that don't exist? That makes no fucking sense. Anyway, now let's get back to it. Also, just like we need to eradicate ISIS, we need to eradicate Christmas, though Christians have killed far more than ISIS has in their entire history. Independence Day has nothing to do with Christmas. If it did, they don't deserve to die. They deserve to survive. If you believe that these soldiers deserve to die, you are ungrateful for this country, because what if they want to survive? They deserve to survive. Independence Day should not relate to death. The only holiday that should relate to death, unironically, is Christmas, and Christmas should end. There's no good reason to have Christmas, so that's why it should end. I believe that the death of a child is never justified, and it never will be. I believe that children should deserve a life worth living and not having to be slaughtered for not believing in Christmas. Sources to prove that Jesus Christ never existed listed below. I love that this was during a time where moderators never deleted sources they didn't like from opponents' argument rounds. Wilson's 704's last entry was in round 4, which is the last round of the debate. He goes, number 1, I love this country with all my heart, and number 2, do you realize that by ending Christmas, that means ending the holiday that most people love? 46% of people in the US say Christmas is their favorite holiday. Number 1, that's not a majority. In fact, that's kind of a minority, and it's getting lower as time went on, and as time goes on. I just can't wrap my head around the fact that you want to end Christmas just because you don't think that Jesus was real. Spoiler alert, he was. And then, I'm not going to waste my time, I'm just going to show the screenshots of my 4th and last round, which is long as fuck and repetitive as fuck. I conclude this debate by recapping what I argued, gave the sources, and then said, this has been a good debate we had, especially for me as pro, and I had so much fun debating with you, and I hope you have the best of luck in future debates. The choice is clear, vote for pro. I won by 5 points, with Wilson 704 having 0 points by the end of this debate when the voting period ended, and declared me the winner, which triggered a fuck ton of trolls anyway, especially the perpetually coping Dark Prince, with Superduds becoming a troll after this vote, and he gave this reason for voting decision. I do think your evidence is somewhat biased in this, however, since it fully supports your claims you make and is not proven well enough by the con, and con uses a biased or opinionated view, that is where sources go. Arguments go pro here as well. Con could have countered that sources were biased and had no real intention, which of course I had real intention, you fucking moron, which could outweigh his arguments he was relying on, which is the same reason why Wikia was such a fucking bullshit SJW website. They hate facts that actually matter. They'll delete any Wikia that actually matters on their websites because they're snowflakes. Since he uses a source that people were slaughtered when they didn't believe in Xmas and the con never really counters, I have a right as a judge to vote on the argument. Your examples you used in round 3 are completely irrelevant and complete fallacy for the claim you're making. ISIS kills people for not being Muslim, not celebrating Ramadan. Argument goes con. Hey, dipshit, you didn't vote for the con at all. You voted for me. If you really were voting for the con, I would have lost this one. But incompetency wins, and so did I, even though I'm not incompetent at all, which is ironic in its own right. So that concludes me reading the second and last official former roast game debate. Hello, everybody. I am Bryan Mullins the Fox. Welcome to the second commentary/rant edition of the Roast Game Awareness Month, which is part of the first edition of the Roast Game Awareness Month. This commentary/rant video will be completely different from the previous one, which was the first. I will be explaining my side of how the debate.org shitstorm saga went down, how it affected me, what I was pretty much doing at the time, and how I became who I am today. Let's go all the way back to October 16th, 2017. I moved in with my dad to Columbus, Ohio. A day later, in the evening hours of October 17th, 2017, I attempted to start the first official roast game debate with Slim Shady. He didn't respond, much less accept the debate request. Neither did Power Pikachu 21 or even M. Harmon. That was until Yana Girl 136 caught my attention, and ire when I was previously involved in 2 other debates with her. The first concerning the topic of whether or not being offended that a woman wears leggings in public makes you sexist, and the other one concerning sports bras apparently being considered sexist, even though it's not. Finally, I struck gold on October 20th, 2017 when YanaGirl136 accepted my debate request to debate about the roast game, the first of its topic and kind. The reason why there are some obvious errors in some of my sentences, it's because of autocorrect sometimes. My dad's old Kindle Fire's autocorrect was a pain in the ass to fight with every time I typed on that damn thing. I won by 7 points because she basically just gave up and forfeited the debate. All the while, me and Yana had our first major back and forth that turned into a dumpster fire in the comment section of the first roast game debate. Then, inevitably, more people got involved. And at the end of the day, nothing too exciting or dramatic was going on. Just some crazy bitch having her little hissy fit. The initial October and November forum threads following the first roast game poll that closed on November 1st, 2017 kinda went nowhere. At around that time, my mood was generally celebratory in the wake of the first signs of the actual progress of the conversation surrounding the topic of the roast game at all. Nothing else was too eventful until the second debate occurred, other than some fake and illegitimate challenges to me by people like Crazy456 Rhino and Frankfurter50, instantly, of which there were only few I rejected. The second debate happened on November 29th, 2017, and didn't go into voting period until around December 7th of that year. Of course, the first example of vote bombing on this much of a scale occurred, but was then removed by White Flame for not being a reason to vote. Meaning that when Super Duds voted for me, he then realized how bad this looked for his side of the topic, which he immediately developed animosity towards, and outs himself as a troll later on. I ran an opinion survey sometime after the second debate, asking the following question: is killing your entire family perfectly justified because of the roast game? At the end of the day, 67% of respondents then said yes, while 33% said no. The comment section of that second debate was filled to the brim with some raging trolls, including the forever coping Dark Prince, just rambling on about nonsense, and a bunch of other spurging out. And then it became a shit fest later on, and so did the comment section of the first debate, as the Debate.org shitstorm saga continued throughout the months. Throughout the rest of 2017, starting from mid-December onward until sometime in January 2018, the activity of not just the debate section of Debate.org, but also the forum section, poll section, and even opinion survey section were also inactive for the same said period of time. All the while, behind the Kindle Fire screen, I was typically having Hot Pockets and a burrito for a meal, alongside with snacks, drinking Gatorade, maybe some tap water, cooking myself microwaved spaghetti and meatballs for dinner, sucking on mints, chewing gum, yada yada yada. I was also playing the Xbox One, playing video games, watching videos through the Xbox One's YouTube app. I was typically watching some reaction content, VHS openings, and some VHS closings because it constantly gave me nostalgia from time to time, as it usually does today, and going off on rants occasionally because I've watched something that made me passionate while feeling a bit of nostalgia in the background. I found trailer music and other pieces of music I otherwise wouldn't have. I stood up all night because me and my dad thought it was a good idea because nobody's telling us when to sleep then. For years after all this, not to be too off topic, I still did until sometime after we moved out of that cramped up apartment in Columbus, Ohio, around June 1st, 2022. Outside of Debate.org, on a slightly shittier DebateIsland.com, I started a short-lived debate with someone named William Schultz that went fucking nowhere, and it was on the same website that allowed people to vote for themselves, which is entirely not fair. Rather rigged, mind you. For Christmas of 2017, which is the first Christmas of the post-roast game era, I got a couple of new video games for the Xbox One I used to play on, which was Sonic Forces and Madden 18, alongside with some Christmas cards. I felt like that throughout the time I was on Debate.org, it felt like hell. Alright, moving in on to 2018. The new year rings, and right after we came back from going to Buffalo Wild Wings and then Walmart. Before then, we had a New Year's Eve party at a relative's house for a while. Had a good time snacking, eating vegetables, cheese, other stuff, watching football games. Nothing else major happened. Fast forward to January 13th, 2018, when things really picked back up to normal. Back and forths began. Things got heated and eventually got out of control. Sometime in mid-January, I and William Schultz had a debate on debate.org that ended up in a tie regardless. Around that time of the William Schultz roast game debate, I held the last roast game related poll asking the following: should the roast game be taught in schools? To which 55% said yes and only 44% said no. That was when trolls like KWLM and Minddagger began to appear on forum threads, comment sections of other debates, including the troll debates that I lost that don't really count anyway, and even a few trolls that jumped onto YouTube and tried to harass me. I took none of their bullshit seriously. These retarded trolls then decide on January 28th, 2018 to start the quote-unquote anti-roast game organization. I had a debate with Minddagger that, just like the one with William Schultz, ended up in a tie. The vote bomb would have rigged it anyway, but didn't. And again, the debate went nowhere. On January 30th, 2018, I decided to record my first rant declaring the debate on DDO officially over, and the last roast game poll over as well. At this point, the debate was really over and trolls were fucking furiously fuming. Now we're in February 2018 in the story. Tensions got so high that I felt like I was being needlessly harassed and bullied because I didn't accept this pussy-ass troll's fake debate request. Even though I previously said no to it, I had no other choice but to entertain the most dogshit troll debate, let alone the most dogshit troll that I have ever seen in my life, just to get him the fuck off my back. And it was the most egregious one of them. The last troll debate with me and KWLM, that again didn't matter, and nobody even cared enough to fucking archive it. Hilariously enough. KWLM's initially debunked claim was that, quote-unquote, all the progress from all the debates and polls were somehow faked, and that people really took the piss, and the trolls weren't mad at all. Oh no, guys, the trolls weren't mad at all. It's that fucking crybaby liar Bryan that's supposedly mad. Oh, never mind the fact that we've been pissing and shitting ourselves for months on end about this Bryan guy. But you know what? At the same time, KWLM claimed that just by refusing to understand it, no matter how much empirical evidence there is to it, no matter how many facts can back up and can even literally timeline-wise back it up, it somehow automatically makes the roast game not a fact. Thinking that he's the arbiter of truth, thinking that he's the arbiter of fact, KWLM has then made, by far, the dumbest and obviously false claim I have ever heard during the entirety of this drama saga. Around Valentine's Day 2018, I started my last forum called The Roast Game Effect, Valentine's Day Edition. After that, however, when I thought the trolling was dying down and not returning to rage back on, it came back up to reach its highest and final peak yet. Sometime before I got IP banned from debate.org, a website that no longer exists, KWLM and many others were annoying the hell out of me. Even in my DDO messages, AirMax took such serious offense at slurs, supposedly, that hurt absolutely nobody involved in this saga. AirMax, after banning me permanently under my Cherry Palm account because I temporarily closed the other one, lied about the reason why. I got permanently IP banned from DDO and barred from coming back to my other one on February 21st, 2018. And it was at that moment I just fucking fell off for the first time in life. Mentally. And ever since then, at that time, I was mentally in tatters. My one true identity on the internet, my one existence on DDO, was banished because the trolls and assholes plagued the site then, and this is the prime moment when DDO fully went to shit. This is why we don't debate anymore. I recovered throughout the rest of late February 2018, and I said goodbye to my old channel on the same day I launched Bryan Mullins the Fox, or currently known as Bryan Mullins the Fox main channel, open and close parentheses, on February 27th, 2018. And ever since then, I have never been the same. Before the shutdown of the website, it kept blocking me from signing into my older account that went under the username Bryan Mullins No Christmas 2. Even though before my Cherry Palm account got perma'd, I reopened my older one. So even though it was open until the debate.org website shut down, the trolls mass flagged my DDO account back then and got me banned. Deplatforming me was their last resort. It worked. That website went further and further to shit until things came to a head, and they announced their shutdown for June 5th, 2022. It was actually shut down at midnight or sometime around that on June 6th, 2022. I have since, long before their shutdown, archived both debates that became the genesis that took place back in 2017 that introduced the roast game as a topic, just like George Gershwin has introduced Paul Whiteman and his orchestra with his hit that broke the boundaries of classical music, Rhapsody in Blue. I archived both debates, so I didn't have to do it before they shut down. So, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out with me, having fun, doing whatever, this, that, and whatnot. Hello everybody, I am Bryan Mullins the Fox. I want to go over all the drama I went through, just like the Roast Game Topical Arc Timeline did. But I'll do one better for you all. The Roast Game Debate.org Shitstorm Saga began and ended because I started the conversation about the Roast Game between October 20th, 2017 and February 21st, 2018. Then I distanced myself from the website and other people, and I started Bryan Mullins the Fox on February 27th. A few months later, the first season or the first episode of the Roast Game Theory. A few months later, after getting false flagged by KWLM for calling him out for being the crybaby liar he is, I started a 3-video series debunking the debate.org trolls on August 13th, which prompted the beginning of what will be a chain of seriously, mind-bogglingly stupid events. We'll call this the Roast Game Triathlon Drama. It all began on August 13th, 2018, with Going Gon's confusion. Him saying, I don't know what this is all about. I don't know the context. Can you please give me the context? And then as soon as I give him the context, he took screenshots of my old Roast Game Wiki that no longer exists anymore. And then not too long after the third and final episode of the Debunking the Debate.org Troll series, the ad hominem attack was made near the end of August 2018. Then September began. Not a whole lot came out of it, just a couple of cringy drama rant videos throughout the month of September. And then I started doing research. The first video was published on September 27th, yet that was a mistake. I shouldn't have said that cannibalism was the actual purchase, which is stupid. But right after that, I made a video that actually did prove something. It was to prove that the calories add up for a child is a quote-unquote Christmas roast during the Roast Game era, which prompted an instantaneous response video several hours later, which was complete dog shit. There were non-arguments, maybe an ad hominem attack or two, and just ranting non-stop about shit he doesn't care about, allegedly, even though he actually does a shitty job at responding to anything I put out. And this video that I flagged for an abusive title was before the Roast Game's FAT, F-A-T, came out. And I got backlash. Only a tiny bit of backlash, and I felt really bad because I got bullied, harassed after, flagging that one video. That was the only time where I flagged, and it worked. YouTube is a broken system when it comes to the flagging system. Even false flaggers get away with getting whole channels banned nowadays in 2022. But back in 2018, you wouldn't get away with it without any of this backlash. But the backlash was not the main issue. The backlash was just a temporary effect. But what came after was the beginning of their crafted conspiracy theory narrative that after all this time I'm somehow supposedly the mass manipulator, hiding evidence, hiding the truth, and spreading quote-unquote lies as truth. That's their conspiracy theory narrative. And October 2nd, my Discord server that no longer exists now was raided for a couple of minutes. which prompted me to make a whole video exposing Slowpoke Arcia and EMC2103, which formerly went by the pseudonym Xscape69. And then after this whole Discord raid ordeal, I had a karmic sub boost, and they all look bad at this point. And throughout October, it was just drama video after drama video. It was just getting to the point where it was confusing. And then I made one video that triggered a 1v1. And this 1v1 was actually a debacle. It just all fell apart at the seams. I want to quickly summarize what happened during this debacle after I've posted that video telling them to watch a video about Sargon's Law made by Shane Killian over 5 years ago. Because I had the nearest suspicion that Going On, EMC2103, and the others back in 2018 were projecting their weaknesses onto me by calling me a conspiracy theorist and my channel a conspiracy channel. So I posted a comment or two about the situation surrounding me just to use this as an example of Sargon's Law. And Going On couldn't even remotely take it sitting down. He responded to me by calling him a cuck and literally diverting the attention from Sargon's Law and my example and making it all about me and my character. Later, it got spicy and heated. It was now about the roast game. During this whole debacle, what would have been a quote-unquote debate on debate.org was only in this comment section. 3 years ago, me and Going On had this back and forth. Going On made a few claims. One, that the sources in all of these videos about the roast game that I've made proved that I was lying. Two, that I've done no research and I have no evidence, which is a lie. And three, that I'm somehow a conspiracy theorist, regardless if my claim is true or not. He retracted the first two and said, well, I guess the sources didn't really prove that you were lying. And yes, you were right. It is a theory, not really separating the roast game theory and the roast game itself. But he also said it's not a fact, but it's just a theory, which is ridiculous. And not only that, but completely pants on head fucking retarded. The reason why I rage quit that fucking debacle is because Going On basically made an ass out of himself and clearly showed his true colors to me. That even if my claim is 100% true, that I'm somehow still a conspiracy theorist when I'm not. And they, alongside with Star Shadow, used this against me by claiming that I somehow backed out of the conversation because I was somehow owned or they somehow proved me to be wrong when I'm not. Why would they be using that as a point of insecurity if they're only trying to prove that I'm the only one that's insecure? It makes no sense. Again, it's completely retarded. Sure, I repeated insults at Going On. Sure, I was fucking irritated, not to mention annoyed as fuck. And he tries to come out as a good guy, trying to come out as the one that's being blatantly attacked and slandered and thrown under the bus, when he's not. I've been the one that's thrown under the bus. I've been the one that was stabbed in the back for what I've said back in 2018. And they knew it. They knew it. They knew they couldn't hide it. They couldn't control the fucking nature of the conversation or the drama surrounding it. They just had to lie at the end. Throughout the month of October, leading up to the debacle, in live streams, I had a few trolls try to fuck around with me, saying that I have no evidence of anything, trying to fuck around with me again, but I banned them all. It was only a few. I banned a bunch of asshats and trolls throughout this whole triathlon drama. Back to the debacle. He made a few claims that I knew he couldn't back up, that I knew were false, and the only thing that really triggered me was when he shot himself in the foot and gave me a link to try and confirm his confirmation bias, leading to the moment of truth. Hypocrisy was on the side who criticized me. It was just a Q&A link. It was stupid for him to do that, and so I just distanced myself from him after just going further back and forth after this shit pile. And then I made a video on November 5th, 2018, putting Going On in his place, comparing him to KWLM, a pigeon who just shits on the chessboard and strut around like it won anyway. So throughout the month of November, not a whole lot was happening. I was just finishing up recovering from this whole debacle, while I was going through more of the BS. And then Will Kincaid showed up and responded to my Alex Jones video. And then that's what led him to disliking me. And throughout the month of December, me and Will Kincaid were going through back and forths with each other, while Will Kincaid was bitching about how every time I made a fucking video, I said it would be the last. And yet here he is doing the exact same damn thing. That's ironic. So, in early January, after 2019 rang in as the new year then, I made a video addressing this then to have been 5-month-long drama. And then shortly after, they made their whole video just completely shitting on anything I say, going with conspiratorial talking points and trying to keep the conspiracy theory alive. Nothing really big or major happened in January, except for the You Lose series. Just like the Fallacy of the Week series I started throughout November, and that's about it. I started the You Lose series with saying to Going On, you lost or you lose, and explained why and how. And then I did the exact same thing to EMC 2103, addressing his cringy-ass Wattpad story he made back in December. And then after this, Star Shadow fell out, even though he was never my friend in the first place. He stabbed me in the back, went with their conspiracy theory, went with their conspiratorial talking point, and made a few dog shit response videos in an attempt to assassinate my character, which failed epically in the long run. All the while, throughout the months of November and December, they only went so far as to attack me for my DeviantArt and for the fact that I'm an art thief, and use that as a dismissal against anything that I said or did. And then February was the worst month of all this drama. If the debacle wasn't enough, if the Discord server raid back in October 2018 wasn't enough, the Vashlan set drama blew up after I lost my shit and blew up on February 16th, 2019. Vashlan set made a response stream, which is short, just a day or so after. And then on February 19th, 2019, Vashlan and all the other spurgs and fuck buddies screeched at me. And then on February 20th through 21st, I exposed Star Shadow Wolf and EMC 2103 of being hypocrites for stealing art they didn't own, even though one of them gave credit. It doesn't matter. And that's what it took to make them spiral out of control emotionally. Throughout the 22nd through the 27th, I was going through this back and forth with myself, responding to Star Shadow, responding to Vashlan set, responding to what's happening with Vash and Dakota, and addressing Will Kincaid's fake and false apology. And then, right as I finished this whole triathlon drama myself on my end, the last words of my final response to Star Shadow Wolf were, and I quote, "You have failed to debunk the roast game. You have only debunked yourself. And don't blame me for it. Blame yourself for lying to your own audience. You know, like the same thing you accused me of doing. Because you already made yourself look like more of a hypocrite than you admitted of being." And then, right after that video came out, Will Kincaid had a spurg out right in the evening on February 28th, 2019. And then, months later, I addressed the funny junk drama, which was just Brazenio being a disingenuous son of a bitch, and Lolittle being a complete lolcow, losing his shit. And then that was all the dramas I've been through. And where are these fuckers now? Where is Star Shadow? Where is EMC 2103? Where is Vashlan Set? And where is Going On? Slowpoke Garcia has their Twitter protected. So does Will Kincaid. Star Shadow Wolf deleted his Twitter, and apparently may or may not have deleted his Minds account. And Vashlan Set is still on Twitter and still minding his own business. That's alright. I'm not trying to start new drama at all. I'm just trying to recap history and revise it. But that'll do.
I do. I don't know why, I just do. I don't know why you thrill me like like you do. I don't know why, you just do. You never seem to want my romancing. The only time you hold me is when we're dancing. I don't know why I love you like I do. I don't know why, I just do.
When it comes to debate or debate challenges, if you've already made up your mind, don't even bother. Don't even say you believe that something didn't happen or whatever, even when it comes to the roast game, because that's just disingenuous and bad faith to want to challenge you on a debate or an argument and then already making your mind up, making it counterproductive in the first place. Because not only have you not done any research, if you're going to pull this shit off like man did, then there's no point in communicating with you. There really isn't. I only accept legitimate debate challenges, not ones that can literally be hijacked into internet blood sports, internet drama, or would just be a counterproductive waste of time. So, sorry about that, Mothman, you can fuck right off. Hi everybody, I am Bryan Mullins the Fox. As you may suspect, I am deciding to retire this dead and old format because it died to internet blood sports and fake drama. That's right, I'm talking about debating in general for me, because it seems to me that at this point, there's really no point in turning back now. I believe that the whole idea of me having a fair and honest debate where both sides come with facts on their side, stats, reasonable arguments, and the logic behind them, having a discussion has become impossible to start and end without drama, internet blood sports, and bloodthirsty audience members. I'm recording this video now because if I don't, it will bite me in the ass. I used to be a debater, the very thing I was before I became a furry in 2018. 6 years ago, the roast game debate.org shitstorm saga was still occurring. The debate platform begun to erode after quite a while of inactivity throughout the holiday season of late 2017 to early 2018. February 21st, 2018, I got perma-banned from DDO, a website that doesn't exist anymore. Then several months later, I tried to get a debate going with Going Gone, which ended up being a debacle, because Going Gone backpedaled on all the claims he made about me, and then decided to die on his own hill. And others have done the same. They haven't done any research, They haven't done any effort to counter anything I've said when it comes to the topic of the roast game. They haven't done anything of value for so many years, and yet I have people like Papa Poob, Mothman, and others calling me a coward simply because I initially just said no to a debate request. What's the matter with saying no? Isn't it a choice that I can make? Or is it a choice that you want me to make, but only to say yes and not have autonomy over the matter? Which is fucking retarded, because if you're gonna ask somebody to debate you, you have to make it an either yes or no question. You don't just get to tell content creators what to do or tell them to debate you now or whatever. You don't get to push, you don't get to try and stalk me on Discord even though I wasn't really stalked. You don't get to do any of that. It's pretty shady, it's pretty shitty. In fact, I'm not the coward for just saying no. You people are cowards for not taking no for an answer like an honest person. Like a genuinely honest human being. And this is why I feel it's so dehumanizing that I get fucking called names and all that shit. No honest discussion would ever materialize, no honest debate where both sides come together and argue facts, argue stats, argue prices, use logic, be reasonable with one another, cut back on the ad-homs maybe, cut back on the heated aspects of it. Don't just have it be internet blood sports for views, because I thought the internet blood sports era was dead. But no, people just keep fucking dragging it on. And what's gonna happen next? Are people gonna send fucking threats to me or whatever because I keep saying no? Or are they just gonna shut up and fucking move on with their lives and stop spurging? I don't know which is which, but just because I'm retiring from debating does not mean that I won't be arguing with people anytime soon. Of course I will. But it won't be considered a debate. It'll just be considered either a debacle or some 1v1 stupid argument that goes nowhere. Just like YouTubers that retire aren't retiring the way you think they are. But with all that being said, I'm Bryan Mullins the Fox, signing out. Tune in for my debating compilation from 2017 to now. Goodbye to you all.